Good afternoon. Thank you all for being here. As always, it's a pleasure to see you. For those of you that are watching online or at a later time, I recommend going a little bit below and downloading the resource guide, which is this. We will be going over this. And so make sure to download this or use it in front of you. This is going to be an activity that will be less talking, but more working. But it's very good for you to address this at the beginning and throughout your business to see how things change. So today we are going to be talking about the business model canvas. I don't recall where it came from, but it's a great way for you to really understand a screenshot of your business and the ways that you not only find customers, but also gain business and revenue streams. And so all of you have a piece of paper and pen. And so if you want to fill this out, it's also good to write it down because then you can put it up as a poster as well. We are not going to go left to right. So we're going to do this strategically. But the business model canvas is basically a screenshot of where your business is and the way that you find new customers, have different business models, who some of your key partners are, and how much things may or may not cost. And so it allows you to really understand how to put everything together so that you can start, grow, or increase your business. So the first thing on the far right, we're going to talk about our customer segments. Now, a customer segment are the people, the organizations, the businesses that you are creating value for. This could be users and customers. So for the next few minutes, I want you guys to describe who are the people, if you are a direct-to-consumer, or the businesses, or the type of business that you are creating value for. This is your users and your customers. So who are these in your world? Again, if you're watching this online, be sure to download the file so that you can write it down and fill it out. Customer segments, number one, far right. Who are the people or organizations or businesses that you are creating value for? So if you need an example for Hatch, business owners, people looking to start a business, people looking to grow a business, maybe a CEO of a company that's looking for education for their staffs. What are those customer segments? Who are your customers? What do they look like and where are they? By a show of hands, how many of you guys have actually ever thought of this at all? A couple, good. It's always good to address this. I think even in a quarterly kind of way, because these things may change, and you maybe you'll see this whole the pie put together, that you're actually building something and something pivoted in there, or you have a different customer, but you've been building up for them. Even though you now have a different kind of customer segment. You can also think of a customer segment as a buyer persona, if you remember that talk. But who are the people and organizations that you are creating value for? I'll give you one more minute. You guys can go back to this later as well. So Deanie, who is a customer segment for you?
Business owners.
Business owners? At any certain level for you or no?
C-level.
C-level, okay. So that's important, right? A business owner and a C-level person could be different things. So you're looking for a company that might be a little bit bigger that actually has different levels of kind of management on their team. Not every business has that. A mom and pop probably doesn't have a CEO the same way that a Jimmy John's does. So now we're going to jump to value propositions. Remember, a value proposition is the problem or the need that you are fulfilling. Okay? So it's the bundle, the product, the services that you provide value, but it's the problem or the need that you're fulfilling for that business or that customer. So we're going to jump to value proposition. So from customer segments, think of who are those customers, and now from the value proposition, what is it specifically that they have as a need or that you are fulfilling as a problem? What is the solution? What is the value proposition? Again, for those of you that are watching this online, be sure to scroll down a little bit and download this file or take notes and add it to it later. I do recommend that you physically write this out because it really allows you to understand who and what they are, and when you write something down, you're 25% more likely to retain that over time than just hearing it. This exercise, this workshop is necessary so that you can make sure you have a snapshot of where your business is, not just what QuickBooks tells you. So again, number 2, value propositions. What are the problems or the needs that you are fulfilling for those customers that you wrote out there? If you wrote down different customers and they have a different value proposition, be sure to have the correspondence be correct towards that person. This is not a zero-sum game. So if you have multiple customer segments, they're obviously going to be looking for something different. So we have so a great example for this. Let's say you're a CrossFit gym or any gym, and you have one customer that's want to go in there and they're going to do everything on their own. They can figure out all that stuff. But you may have another customer that's looking for one-to-one training. You need to have a completely different type of segment for that person and a different value proposition, likely because that person is looking for something more detailed, more regimented, more specific to them, more one-to-one than not. All right, we're going to move on to channels. Channels are the touch points, the interaction with users or customers. It's the entities that you use to communicate those propositions to those segments. Okay, so if you think about this, we talked about what your customer segments are. Those are who. What are you helping them? And then now channels where. So an example could be a Google AdWord is a way that you find them. It could be at a meetup that you find people at. Where are you finding these people? The channels, the touch points that you can interact with these people. Maybe you have a weekly email that you reach out to someone. Maybe you have a drip campaign. Maybe it's a Facebook post. What are the channels or the touch points where you are interacting with someone? This could be at a meetup, it could be an event, it could be one-to-one communication, it could be an ad, many, many different things. As you'll see as we put this all together, each of them lines up so that you're telling a more complete story for yourself. And then you can take this and pipe it into the playbooks that we've talked to you guys about and things like that. But if you don't know who you're talking to, you don't know what they need to hear, if you don't know where to find them, a playbook is the finished product, basically, and going backwards. This is finding all of those pieces and putting it together in a way that you're breaking down each and every individual piece to it, according to who your potential and prospect customers are.
Are channels the methodology, like the Facebook and Twitter and all that?
Yeah, or a Google ad or something like that, yeah. It's the touch points.
Okay.
So if you're touching someone on Facebook, maybe it's a Facebook Live post. If that's a way that you can talk your value proposition to your current customer, then that's a great way to do it. It might not be that way. It might be a pop-up on a website. When your value proposition is what the what the pop-up is the value proposition, and you're speaking to the customer that you created before. So you kind of see how each one lines up with each other? Okay. All right, next we're going to move on to customer relationships. This is the outline type of the relationship. So understand what that relationship looks like. What are you establishing? What are you giving them? Are you giving them 24/7 access like a Netflix account would be? Or are you giving them just one piece of jewelry? Are you telling them that you're going to be consulting them with a piece of software from 9 to 5 Monday through Friday, and that's 40 hours a week? Establish the type of customer relationship. How does someone communicate with you? If you don't establish this, likely people will try and take advantage of it. I've done work in the past, and hopefully not in the future, where this point was not established of how to communicate, and people communicate on Saturdays even though I don't want to. But guess what? You communicate back that first time, you have caved in and basically made it available for someone to contact you when you don't want them to. Over communicate in this case, right? So how does someone communicate with you? Is it the contact us button there and you'll get back to them in 24 hours? Are you establishing something that you can actually fulfill? Don't say you're going to give something on demand or immediately if you're not able to do that. Aurora, I know in the past you've struggled with this, where you told someone you'll have something within a week when that's not appropriate. That's not what you're actually going to be able to fulfill. So, undersell, over-deliver in this case, but also don't use a metric. Don't use a specific, don't say you're going to do something and then not do it. So if you have if you're going to do live chat, and you've seen live chats on websites where people say, talk to us right now. Well, if it's BS and you can't talk to that person now, that person is going to lose respect, and likely you're going to lose the sale with them because you promised them something that you cannot deliver. Again, customer relationships are a way for you to outline the type of relationship that you're going to have with someone that you are establishing, and how does someone communicate with you. This can be automated in some cases. So if you have an email campaign that comes out, that's a drip series, you're communicating with that person. If you want that person to then reach out to you one-to-one, you need to open up that dialogue. Are there any questions so far?
What's the difference between a customer segment and a market? Or are they the same? On the far right. So customer segments.
Right. So
could that also just be markets or what?
Well, it's the type of people that you're creating value for. So if you want to say the word market is that, then that's appropriate, but you really have to define market in that. So it's the people that you're creating value for. If you want to call that a market, that's fine, but it's very specific, right? So you're not going to say, you wouldn't say the Chamber of Commerce. You would say, the small businesses at the Chamber of Commerce that have 4 employees or less. So it's a very specific market in it, if you will.
Okay.
A customer segment could also be like a buyer persona. What do those people look like? And as you'll see here, so what we've done is we've taken the customers or the market, the buyer personas, and said, okay, here's what they're looking for. Here's how we'll talk to them. And here's the relationship that we've put together as to how we will actually communicate with them. Let's move on to revenue streams. How do you make money? How and what mechanisms are you using in your business model to make money? So, are you a gym and you charge monthly? Are you a consulting firm and you charge hourly or at a flat rate? What is your revenue streams? This could be multiple things, right? So you guys are familiar with the Hatch model. So let's say that it's a gym, okay? So we make money annually or monthly, and then another model in there could be one-to-one coaching, and then when appropriate would be ad hoc events. So events that we charge an additional fee for and execute a startup address, a start, etc. So each one of those needs to be there. Maybe you have an events company. Are you charging, for the event? Do you make a percentage off of the equipment that you purchase for them? Do you potentially make a percentage of the money that they make? All of those are appropriate revenue streams, and you need to make sure that you document each one of those so that you know what mechanisms in your business model are your revenue streams. If you just have one revenue stream, that's fine. What we found is most businesses have multiple revenue streams. So if it's a percentage, say the percentage. If it's a flat fee, say that fee. Aurora, maybe with you create a Jewelry of the Month club. And people pay $15 a month to get this piece of jewelry. Then you ship that out. What we're going to find on the left is what do these things cost, but we're not going to go to that yet. But basically high level, how do you bring money into the business? All right, moving on. We'll go to key activities. Just wanted to give you guys a quick smile. It's great to see you. Key activities are what is needed to perform well and deliver on the value propositions. Another thing that you could call this are the steps in a funnel. What is needed to perform well and deliver on what you've told someone you will. Another way to look at this, if you guys are familiar with what we've talked about through time, are the steps in your sales funnel. Now again, if you have different looking customers, if the demographics are different, which I'm assuming all of you do, this could look different each step of the way. As you recall in the past, we've recommended that when your customer segment or your market looks and feels and talks a certain way, speak in their language. So if they use slang, use slang. If they are rough around the edges, be rough around the edges because they'll be more comfortable around you. If they're a jeans and t-shirt company, give them jeans and t-shirts. If they're a suit and tie, give them suit and tie. They will look at you as they're more like them. Key activities, again, are what is needed to perform well, to deliver on the step to the right, value propositions. So what is needed to perform on the problems that the customers have? This could also be known as steps in a funnel, a sales funnel. Remember, for us, these are 5 to 7 positive interactions. As we learned from Pat Weber in a previous talk, it could take 5 to 20 positive interactions with someone to make that conversion. So you need to make sure that you know how you're going to communicate with people. If you use online tools that remind you to reach out to someone, make sure that each of those steps is getting you closer to that conversion. If you have a higher ticketed item, you may need to have even more interactions with someone because that costs so much. Before you buy a house from someone, you want to make sure that you've crossed the T's and dotted the I's. We're going to move below now to key resources. This is your infrastructure to help create, deliver, and capture the information that you need. Right now, I'll give you 2 examples. So let's say we host a meetup. How are we going to get that information across to people? We need them to sign up for something. Maybe they get it on a Facebook event and they sign up there. Maybe they go to meetup.com or eventbrite.com and do that. If they come in, we need to check them off, make sure that they've paid or signed up to do it. If they haven't, obviously pay. And if you've seen our guest list up there, that's a way for us to make sure that we don't miss people. The same could, that's the, the physical version. The online version is a pop-up that says, I'm going to give you this information in return for you. It could also be, business cards. It's the key assets. This could also be IP or talent. So if you need someone, if you can't physically do it, who is going to do it for you? Is it Canva.com? Is it an actual designer? Is it a web developer? What are the key resources that you need? So here it would be 1004.com. We can't do it without the website. We can't do it without Wayne. We can't do it without these pieces of the puzzle to get there. What are those key resources? This is the infrastructure. So it's Gmail, it's a camera, it's Wayne, it's talent. If you have intellectual property, it's that. And finally, the key partners. This is fun because this is who can help you. Think of this as the inventory that I talk about, the inventory of your life, right? Who can you go back to and say, can you help me? Maybe you're looking to grow a business. Where would you go? Hatch, obviously. Maybe you go to a chamber of commerce or your service providers like a bank or an accountant or a lawyer, a legal team. Maybe you have an affiliate program where you give a percentage of your business to the person who helped you get there, a finder's fee. What does that person look like? So not only are they a partner, but they could also be a customer segment if you think about it too, because you have to convince them to help sell your vision, help sell your dream, help sell your business. But think of an affiliate as a place where if you are giving them a percentage of your business for basically a finder's fee. So key partners are who can help you. So a Hatch, a bank, a service provider, maybe an affiliate, maybe a friend of a family. Someone that is where you want to be and they can help you get there throughout the way. If you remember Danny Rubin's talks on guest blog posts, it's finding those affiliates, finding those places like a Huffington Post where he can create content and then have them be the distribution channel. That's a great partnership. And finally, your cost structure. What does it cost to do all these things? Now, I think it's actually good that we do this last because then you can really get your real moment and go, oh crap, I can't afford this. And I find that to be okay, right? You know the gold, the silver, and the bronze, if you will, and maybe all you can afford is bronze. But for future items, if you want the Ferrari, what it's going to cost to get to that. And so cost structure is understanding your business model infrastructure. Also understanding the fixed and variable rates. Fixed and variable cost of your business. Obviously your rent is something 1 month, but the electricity in your facility could change. If you remember Chip Dodd talking about building on a 28-day cycle so that there's 13 months a year instead of 12. Also understanding that if you have some variable costs in your electricity, what are you doing to make sure that that can be more of a fixed cost? So think about that. If electricity costs you $1,200 a year total, but some months it's $200 and some months it's $50, is there a way for you to overpay some months so that it equals out to be $100 every month? Or can you put that money into kind of a side account, a savings account, so that it all actually is the same cost? So by being able to make your company a more fixed rate company, if that makes sense, by really understanding where your prices change, you're going to be able to grow more accordingly than not. There's nothing worse than expecting one number and that number actually be 2, 3, 4, 5 times bigger than it was. Your kitchen or your bath remodel that you talked about, right? And so by having that rainy day fund, or by trying to, manipulate the system so that it's more of the same. You've heard me talk in the past on ways to manipulate your life and your business. So life, it's kind of hard to change this. So the first is probably going to be your mortgage, and your 15th is going to be the other high payments. But in business world, those are also where other payments are typically due. But if you can work with your landlord, you can work with the other pieces